whoa, whoa. Now she used the whistle.
Look at what Nancy's doing.
And I'm going to yell like I did when I left today at 4 o'clock to get your attention.
Go for it.
Do it again. I'm doing it again. Yeah! It still feels good to do it. You okay, Ed?
He wants to do it. He wants to do it right now. He does.
Alright, I did prepare a few words, but it seems like a lot, but I talk fast, so listen. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for coming this evening. Ed, thank you for being here. I'm honored to see all of you here. I need to read it because I've already had a drink and I'm not going to read it. It is very heartwarming. And Heather, thank you for organizing this event for me. I know how busy you've been with the budget process and with planning my retirement here in the mix. I'm sure it has been challenging at times. So, in April of 1970, there was no human resource department when Brother LaFlamme from St. Dom's asked me to go to the tax office to see Alfred Floyd. So I did. I didn't know who the man was. I had never been to City Hall before, as I grew up in Auburn, but I was at St. Dom's right across Kennedy Park, so I knew where City Hall was. So I sat down at his desk, which back then was located across the hall, which is now the city clerk's office. He asked me my name, which school I attended, following by offering me the position, which I accepted. Could you please turn off your cell phone? But the only prerequisite for Fred in getting the position was that I would be a St. Dom's graduate. You go to St. Dom's, yes, you're hired. Some of you do remember Fred Floyd. He did love St. Dom's. And those were the days when life was simple because there was no HR department, so I had the job. So when he hired me at 17 years old, a few months before my high school graduation, I had accepted the job to fill my time, which I figured out till I figured out what I wanted to do with my life. But Fred, as everyone called him, well, I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay there because he was pretty terrifying at times. In those first few months, I was just terrified of him. He would jog on his lunch hour, most days on his lunch hour, and then he'd come back and throw half a bottle of English leather on because he wouldn't sleep and sleep. And then he would open up a can of sardines and then throw his can away in one of our trash cans. And let's not forget, some days, well, because he wanted to try to be healthy with his jogging, he had about 6 bananas for lunch. Only to find out a few days later that he had potassium poisoning. Who does that? So I found out later from my coworkers also that he was very nervous because I wore those really short mini skirts and platform shoes. And he just didn't have the heart to tell me. But by the time I'd been there for 6 months, everybody, every female was wearing those mini skirts and platform shoes. So he was a wreck. But in 1971, so I had been there a year, still trying to figure out, do I want this job? I did give him my notice. I decided I was going to go back to a position that I had worked in high school. And he insisted on sitting down with me, analyze the pros and cons of taking this job versus staying with the city. And it did make sense to stay with the city, and thank goodness I listened to him. From that time, I really respected and looked up to Fred, who came to be like a father figure to me. Unfortunately, his life was cut short in 1990 when he died of a brain tumor shortly after his term as mayor ended. He had been a big effect on me, and obviously to a lot of other people, as a street was named after him in Lewiston. So after I made that decision, I knew in my heart that I wasn't going anywhere because I had the perfect job that I loved performing every day. Well, okay, not every day. But for almost after 43 years, I have finally figured out what I want to do, and that's move on to the next chapter of my life called retirement. I have seen and experienced many changes throughout the years with the city, and that's all when the greatest events in my life occurred. I married my husband, Steve, who's here somewhere. Where I am. There we go. That was in the 70s, had our first son, Scott. Then in the 80s, had my second son, Brad. Now, Scott lives in Maryland with his wife and 2 grandchildren. And my son, Brad, lives in Hawaii, which is why neither of them could be here tonight. I'm okay.
Want some water? Okay.
All right, I'm almost done. Okay. Still talking about my children. I'm so proud of them and thank them for all their love and support. I also wish to thank my husband, Steve, for his love and patience throughout my career at City Hall. Steve, you never have to hear me tell you to hurry up cooking the oatmeal so I can get to work early. I will be on your schedule now. And I can't go without mentioning how happy I was, like in the 80s, when smoking was banned from City Hall. Because where I was sitting as assistant, well, actually where Tammy sits now in the tax office is where I was sitting. Lucian Gosselin, he sat next door as controller. And when he and Dick and Norm had their afternoon meetings, they were all puffing those bat cigars. And the door was shut, but the smoke was coming out right in our office. Those were the days that we don't miss. Of course, there are many of you people here that probably still don't believe that I'm really retiring. I'll be doing cartwheels in a little bit. And my response to that is that I wouldn't believe me either if I were you. I won't lie and say it hasn't been a struggle with choosing my final retirement date. I've been talking about retirement for a couple of years, maybe longer. Phil told me longer today. And choosing my final date has not been easy. Heather was very patient with my indecisiveness while always reassuring me to take my time and to make up my mind, and her only request that I gave her was a 6-month notice, which I did, but still kept tweaking that end date. So Heather, where are you, Heather? Heather, look, the Pope gave a 2-week notice. You should be happy about that.
How powerful Heather is.
Exactly. 6 months, okay, you got it. Okay, so for you non-believers out there, read my lips, I am retired. All right, I'm almost done. But no, I just wanted to mention this because through the years, really, I've been talking about retirement for so long, people would say to me, Nancy, you're still there? When are you going to retire? My gosh, you've been there so long. And then finally, the last year, I've been telling them, when? I said, yeah, I've got a date. I'm going to be retiring. You're kidding. What are you going to do? You're going to be so bored. This is really what I was hearing, and I'm still hearing it today. So my response to that was I've been building a bucket list for a couple of years and looking forward to doing so many other fun things that working full-time has not allowed me to do. Top of my list is taking the summer off, which I haven't done since 1967. And I plan to visit my grandchildren in Maryland more often. Plan to play more tennis to improve my game against all those younger players I meet in match play. My list goes on and on. To my retired finance department friends, Dick, Paul, Pauline, and Gert, thank you for all your support. Can we meet at Tim Hortons at Dunkin' Donuts next week?
McDonald's.
Okay, Norm, where's Norm? I also thank you, Norm, for all your help, love, and support. You've been a great friend. I'll miss you. When you decide to retire, we will save you a place at Tim Hortons or McDonald's. I have made many friendships that I will cherish forever. I bring with me all the great memories of my years at City Hall and all the fun it's been. It is going to be very difficult to walk away from these walls without feeling that I'm leaving family and a way of life. I have been blessed to have had the opportunity to work in that department, in the finance department, that has been so supportive of my life and professional changes. Many things would not have been possible without the understanding and caring of the people I worked with, and especially the wonderful supervisors who were there to give me guidance to achieve my goals. So Paul, Dick, and Heather, thank you. To my family members that are here, co-workers, former co-workers who are here tonight, thank you for being here. I love you guys. And to my replacement, Pam, good luck. And And to the whole finance department, especially to Heather, Tammy, Sue, and Wendy, who have been with me for several years, it truly has been an honor and a privilege to work with all of you. I hope to see you when I'm out and about, but you can be sure that you'll be in my thoughts and a great deal okay. Almost done. It's okay. You will all be in my thoughts a great deal. I will truly miss you all. I received a card this week that had the perfect saying about retirement. It said, "It is the time of my life to have the time of my life," and that's what I plan to do. Thank you. Listen, one more thing. Because you feel like laughing, I had written down a few things that I've been through the years of things that customers say that don't sound right.
You were waiting for this.
Yes, okay. So here they are. May I have your mileage, sir? Do you mean on my car? Yeah, when somebody comes in, how much for the exile tax? Or sometimes it's how much for the exercise tax? Man called one day to say he lost his erection. I quickly corrected himself and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I lost my resurrection." He had issues. But one of the good ones is when we register boats, and you say, "How long is it?" And they say, "Do you mean on my boat?" And I guess I can't go without saying, talk about the poll tax. In 1970, when I started working there was a poll tax that was charged $3 to any male who came in to register to vote. Do you remember that, Allison?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Oh, you heard about it. Yes, yes. So sometimes we'd say, well, I can collect you $3 poll tax when registering to vote. And they'd say, some older men would say, "Do I still need to pay if I don't use my poll?" You guys have any to add? Did I go on for days? I'm done. Let's party. What's that?